Have you ever driven through downtown Salida and wondered if Salida is still going to feel like Salida a few years from now? Or will we all wake up one day and realize this place that we love has been lost under the weight of growth and tourism and ever-rising prices? So today we're going to talk about that tension, what's changing, what people are doing about it, and whether or not Salida can keep its soul. My name is Jessica Cheriton, and I'm a Chaffee County real estate agent, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, this is where we talk about real estate, lifestyle, and what it's really like to live, buy, sell, or invest in the Colorado mountains, especially here in Salida, Buena Vista, Poncha Springs, Nathrop, and all along the Highway 50 corridor. If you care about community, authenticity, and the future of this place that we call home, you're going to want to stick around for this conversation. Let's start with what's shifting beneath the surface in Salida. Some things we've always known: the river, the trails, the art scene, they're all still here, but many of the forces that once felt like background noise are now front and center in our community. So housing prices have just skyrocketed over the last 5 years, making it very difficult for people who work here and live here full time, like teachers, service workers, even medical staff, to find places that they can afford. Tourism has been a major economic driver forever in our area, but it's definitely causing more of a strain of late. More short-term rentals, more visitors bring demand for more lodging, and there's extra pressure on local infrastructure like utilities, waters, and roads. Short-term rental licensing has been pushed, trimmed, and debated, and Salida's City Council is currently reviewing more short-term rental licensing renewals and exploring affordability like ADUs and water policies. And there's also an increase in conversation and concern about how many tourists is too many, and what does it cost locals when visitors make things more expensive, like food at the grocery store, and what about occupancy taxes and things like that. How STRs are regulated, does that affect how the character of the neighborhood is? So yes, things are changing and changing very quickly. So before we talk about what might get lost in all of that, let's talk first about what we love. The soul of Salida, what's worth protecting. There's a few things that come to mind: the creative district, the galleries, the local art, the unique makers, the live music, the festivals give Salida a character that you just can't replicate elsewhere. And then the outdoor access, Arkansas headwaters, the trails, the biking, the rafting. The landscape isn't just a backdrop, it's a part of everyday life here. And then the other thing that comes to mind is the small town feel, like bumping into your neighbors or talking to a store owner on F Street. The history and the architecture, the charming buildings, the small local businesses, it all feels very real all of the time, and that's part of what makes it home. And these are things that growth and development can eventually crowd out or dilute if we're not careful. So now let's talk about what threatens our area when this growth is mismanaged. There's an affordability crisis for sure. Housing prices are on the rise, and locals can definitely get priced out, and schools and local employers can struggle to hire because people can't find housing to keep working here. STR licensing is a big deal. So when more homes are used for tourists rather than locals, the supply of long-term housing drops. So mixed zoning, regulation, licensing costs, occupancy taxes, all of that can shift how STRs can stay active and work. And we already saw Salida licenses dropping over 22% when these fees and regulations increase, but that doesn't give the whole picture and fix everything. So we've got to think about that and have more conversations about how to make that work. Now, water issues are the next thing on the agenda, and there are signs that infrastructure is being highly taxed, and so that's a big deal. And then there's things like business taxes, where we have to be concerned with these small community-owned businesses getting pushed out by bigger stores and chains, and we need to watch those types of things. The last thing, of course, is nature. Most people love Salida because of its natural beauty, and that needs protection as we have a lot more people coming to the area and using everything. We're not just all sitting back. There are definitely policies and conversations in motion. The council work session that began to review affordable housing and the water policy recently, the city council session, shows that we are looking for ways to respond. We just don't have all the answers and things all straightened out yet. So we need to keep talking, keep communicating, and get that figured out. And discussions about ADUs as a way to increase affordable housing options without increasing massive development in the area, that's actually a really important conversation. There are state grants and funding opportunities that need to be explored, and we need to survey the community. So we need to do polls and surveys and ask community members. And we need to, of course, do all of this sustainably. So as a community member, you can look for things to invest in, advocate for, support. Affordable housing is definitely one of those. Encourage even middle income housing, nonprofit housing, mixed income projects, ADUs, and even tiny homes where appropriate. Zoning reforms are important. We need to have more flexibility around multifamily housing, townhomes, and duplexes. Water supply, wastewater, public transit, all of those things go into growth of an area. So we need to really dig into those topics and see how that works in making our community flow better so that we can have what we need to have downtown and just as town is growing bigger. Engaging the community in these growth discussions with surveys, open council meetings, community visioning like Envision Chaffee County, give people a voice about what kind of growth is acceptable and even desired. So if you care about this and about keeping Salida real, Salida keeping its soul, as I said at the beginning of the video, I want to encourage you to comment below, go speak up at city council meetings, send emails, and talk to your city council members outside of their meetings and try to understand the policies and procedures that are in place. Also understand them so that you can be part of speaking up for solutions. If you're buying property in Salida or looking to move here, look beyond just the house that you want. You want to look at neighborhoods and zoning and how things are being changed or adjusted in that area, because it's going to shape your home's value and your whole experience of the area. So yes, we're having some of our challenges, our growing pains, but Salida always still has creativity and heart and people who care. And I think whether or not this town loses its soul depends a lot less on luck and more on the choices that we make right now. Speak up, give public comment, write editorials, write letters. Like, we need to keep the conversation going so that Salida keeps its soul and stays something that all of us love to be a part of. That's all for now. Thanks for joining this somewhat difficult conversation. Live, play, stay Salida, Colorado. This is Jessica Cheriton. Until next time. Park got started in 1999, 2000, and really revitalized our entire town. It became the heart of downtown Salida. People do all kinds of fun things on this river: paddleboarding, kayaking. A lot of kids learn to surf by starting with boogie boards. Optimal CFS for a river here?
You know, everybody's got a take on that. I think once it hits about 300, usually the water's moving a little bit faster, which makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more exciting.
How long have you been surfing?
I started in May of 2021.
So pretty quick learning curve though too, if you're like out here and able to stick this at a lower CFS. One last stop I wanted to make while you're here is at 332 Dodge Street, which is a great little house right downtown in Salida, Colorado. You can walk, bike, or drive if you must about 1 minute back down to the Surf Wave, any of our excellent restaurants, or a bunch of the live music events that we have throughout the year. Let's go take a look. Thanks for joining me here on American Dream TV. I'm your host, Jessica Cheriton, and it was really fun having you visit Salida, Colorado.